Well, hello everyone. Welcome to episode 2 of the Just Gaming Tingz Podcast. We're bringing you an all-queer perspective on all things video games, gaming news, nerdy things. Here we are.
Yes.
Chalora, would you like to take it away with
Who
introductions?
you are.
Oh.
Just quick introductions to remind them of who
Just
we
quick
are.
ones.
You know what we are.
Podcast destroy it.
Redact. Oh.
Yeah. Redactants. We're just redactants.
Just redacted.
Bus is
Yes.
over.
redacted.
Redacted is the new word.
Yes. Absolutely.
I'm Chalora. I'm a drag queen, non-binary gay streamer here on Twitch TV. Or, well, over on Twitch TV if it's not here.
Yes.
And I smell.
You
Love
smell
that.
wonderfully. Turn it around.
Love that for you. Turn it around. All right.
Jam.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jam. I am a gay streamer over here on Twitch, also a grad student and perpetual sleepy boy.
Yes.
It's my life. That's what I do.
Hi, I'm Ruby. I am a redacted here on Twitch. If you're listening to this or watching this on Twitch, if you're not, I'm all over the place at twitch.tv/Project Ruby, Project Ruby on Twitter, YouTube, all that fun stuff. I'm just a content creator. I do a little bit of everything, modern games, retro games, a little bit of all. How about you, Spin?
Hello, I'm Spinblend. I am a clown and a fool on Twitch TV. On Twitch TV/Spinblend. I'm also
Love that.
gay and trans.
We love clowns and fools here.
Absolutely.
And I make soap and I play Nintendo games, and that's kind of my situation. But this week we are gonna go ahead and get right into the news.
Yeah.
So Jam, if you want to take it away.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay,
some
so
exciting developments.
So PlayStation recently released a sneak peek of their UI for the PS5, which is pretty interesting because it includes some new kind of activity features. And this is a statement from, I'm going to pronounce their name incorrectly, so please.
Hideki Nishino.
There we go.
That-
Hideki Nishino. From PlayStation Blog, the senior vice president, basically wrote that we believe your playtime is valuable and should be meaningful, and all the new features we're delivering are inspired by that concept and vision. The new UI introduces several new features designed to make your gaming experience more fun, engaging, personalized, and social. One of the highlights is a new control center, which provides immediate access to almost everything you need from the system at a single press of the PlayStation button on the DualSense wireless controller, all without leaving the game. So this is actually pretty interesting because I feel like this is an update to the PlayStation UI that was kind of sorely needed. Like, I personally am a person who plays Xbox games and PC games mostly. But one of the things that I really liked about Xbox is that when I pressed the Xbox button, it popped up a lot of my social features that I use while gaming very easily. And so that's one thing that it seems that they are attempting to improve upon. Another thing they mentioned is that they also added in some new features called activities designed to bring you closer to key elements of the gameplay. And activities are displayed via on-screen cards in the control center, which enables you to discover new gameplay opportunities, go back to things you miss, jump directly into levels or challenges you want to play, and much more. Some activity cards can be put in picture-in-picture mode, so you can view them without having to leave the game. So I don't know how many of you play on PlayStation. I believe Ruby and Spin do. So I don't play much on PlayStation. So I'm not as well versed in what the PlayStation 4 UI is like, but it seems that this looks like a more refined version of what they had in the PS4 version of their system, but with new features to make it more easily accessible to get into gameplay.
Yeah.
So which of these new features, if any, are you excited about or not, and why?
I was actually not that interested in seeing the UI. I don't know what it was. I just thought it looked weird. I don't know if it's that I'm used to the current one, or I didn't know what it was about it, but I was just like, oh, this looks weird. I don't know what it is about it. Um, I like the idea of like jumping in between games and stuff like that, and kind of like switching easily, because that was a feature that was recently showed. Like literally everyone who has the new Xbox early, they've been showing that feature around, and they've been showing how quickly it like you can switch between games, like similar to yeah, I think it's called Resume Play. Yeah. So
Yeah.
they did that on Xbox, and it's a really cool feature. Like if y'all didn't, if for those of you watching or listening, on Xbox, like you can even unplug the console, and like you can have up to 4 games just randomly suspended, and even just like as you replug your console, you can just like the console just is like, oh yeah, you had these games pending. Do you want to continue them? And they have it open for like over a month or something like that. So like that's how long the games can be open. Because at first people were like, oh, like who switches between 4 games anyway in one like playthrough or in one sitting? And like that's not the point. Like that's for like people who, like me, for example. Let's say you're playing Genshin, you're playing Dead by Daylight with your friends, and then you're playing like a new game that just came out, you're playing Crash, like whatever it might be, and you can just like switch between them. Or you can be like, oh, let me quickly go on Fall Guys for a little bit because my friends are playing. And then you can, instead of closing the game, having to save your game and doing all of that stuff, you can just like easily switch around. So that's like the thing that I'm that I'm most excited about. One thing that they didn't show on here was actually something that people are kind of having some issues with. But we'll get to that in a little bit, because it's more of a moderation feature and has to do with the party chat, and like, yeah, it's a whole thing. But yeah, well, what did you think about it, Spin? Just as you saw it.
Yeah, they showed a little preview of it with the new Sackboy game. And for one, I'm super excited to play the new Sackboy game.
It looks so cute.
It looks so cute.
Yeah, it looks very cute.
To play that. And I do like how like the activity cards kind of played into the game. Like you can, if you're like stuck on a part, you can get like an official walkthrough, and you don't have to go Googling. Like if you like want to get into a level, it tells you like, okay, these are the levels you're on, these are the progress, this is the progress in each of the levels. And I thought that was pretty cool. Now, the idea of the voice chats, I think it could be cool. Like I think, because I was thinking about Phasmophobia, and like y'all know how like the ghost can hear you in that game, and like the voice chat really like is a part of the game.
Yeah.
I was thinking like there's kind of a potential there for like going forward, have games kind of have that voice chat feature built in, since it's a part of the PlayStation. Instead of like an outside app. But that's like future times. I don't know exactly like, specifically.
Yeah. The problem with the people are having. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I'm done.
Discord. I love Discord. Delays.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love them. Accidentally interrupting people. So wonderful. I say with sarcasm.
Love that.
No, but the thing that a lot of people are talking about is that for the PS5, I guess they're going to be having a feature where if you want to use party chats, like which is like a private voice chat with your friends, you have to like agree to the new terms of service, which include the fact that it's like going to be recording the calls for moderation purposes. And people are kind of like, oh, I don't know how I feel about like it being recording me the whole time.
Wait, I didn't know that. I didn't know that they were doing that, because if it's private party chat, like I feel like that's slightly different than like being in an open lobby or something. Like I get that for open lobby chat.
Right. I thought it was weird like as well because I thought about it that way, but I was actually like just browsing around seeing what some people thought about it, and some people brought up the point of like, you know how sometimes when you play a game with someone, you can go into like the friend or online options, and you can add these random people that you played with online, and you don't necessarily know them, but you can befriend them very easily because the PlayStation is like, oh, you played one match with them. Do you want to add them as a friend? And let's be real, a lot of people do, and sometimes children do, and sometimes they're playing these games with who God knows who, right? And
Yeah.
it could be. I think it. This is not something that I thought of myself. I was actually like looking through like social media and stuff like that. So this is not my own, like I didn't come to this realization myself. But people were basically saying that this is a good way for Sony to kind of like cover their asses legally as like, oh, yes, we are not reckless with our things. You can just easily access the logs, and if something shady happens on our console, then it's fine. Well, it's not that it's fine, but you know, like we can we can
like they have
cooperate
warfare.
with people. We can, legal things.
Yeah, I get what you're
Yay.
saying.
Are
Yeah,
you
I get
a
that.
PlayStation gamer, Chalora?
I am. I don't own any form of Xbox. Never have. So I was definitely a PlayStation kid, and I still have them. I don't know. I don't know much about it, but it does sound like nice what they're like before what we were talking about, like the switching, because like I have two screens and I split both my screens, so I use like 4 different things at the same time. So it's really
Yeah.
nice to be able to swap between, and if you have a lobby, you can go play a little bit of Tetris or whatever in the other game, and then come back when your lobby's ready, which is great.
Yeah.
In terms of that, like I don't know. I feel like everything is recording us at this point, and it's kind of irritating. But like, I don't know. Is that the issue that people are saying, like that it's recording everything you're saying, or is the issue like you don't know who you're talking to?
I think some people are having issues, and I'm sorry for those of you watching the YouTube or the Twitch right now, but for some reason, the Discord window is, on my end at least, it seems to be showing as like frozen for y'all watching for some reason.
Oh.
Or at least
Oh.
some of us are showing us frozen. I don't understand why.
Yeah.
I don't know what the deal is about that. Um,
That's very weird.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's just, you know.
Jim looks like they're gonna sneeze.
Technology. We love technology. It's wonderful. It's
I see myself. I'm like, ooh, look at me about to sneeze.
not that.
Yeah, but Shalor, I think that is the biggest thing people are concerned about. I think it's mainly the fact that it's recording for moderation in private party chat. I think is the thing people might be concerned about
I fixed
because
it.
oh yay, we're not frozen
I
anymore.
did it.
But I think that might be the biggest thing. I don't know. I agree that like at this point, I feel like everything is recording me and listening to me. So am I really going to be that up in arms? At least they let me know that they're going to be recording and listening to me, unlike Facebook, who is doing it all the time and said nothing to me about it.
I think that's the
I
main
just
thing,
say
right?
that because
Go ahead.
because like I sometimes I just like I don't know, I talk all the time about like, oh, I'd love to have, squatty potty or whatever.
As one
And
does.
it's like, you say it like 1 to 3 times around
Right.
any particular device, and what's on your ads? Oh, a squatty potty. Where
Right.
did that come from? Like,
Exactly.
where did this come from?
Exactly.
Right.
So they're always listening, and like I don't have an Alexa or a little robot device or whatever. It's just phones and
Yeah.
everything else. Like it's always listening, and there's no avoiding it at this point. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
what can you do?
I think this is
Yeah.
similar to the Xbox conversation when Xbox One first got promoted and they were like, it's always listening for you to say Xbox on so that it turns on automatically. And people were like, no, it's like going to be listening to me the entire time. And it's like, well, they still got it right, and they're not complaining about it, and now we have like Alexas and we have all that stuff that is constantly listening to us at all times. So I think this is one of those things that people may have a little bit of an issue with right now, but like they'll forget about it, they'll get over it. It's not going to be a big deal, right?
I think I think people just have like, there are a lot of different things like that. Like, you know, there was that whole thing with the Xbox One, and then, you know, there was like the Xbox One launch was like a whole debacle because people were like, oh, well, always on consoles is just not a thing that people want. And then like, think about it now, like people get upset when the server on their PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, or Xbox is down for 5 minutes because it's a thing that it's a thing that we got used to now, right? It's like, it was the future of gaming in terms of the way gaming was going to go, having this always on kind of always connected to the internet system. But then over the last 7 years, people have gotten used to having devices always on other than your phone, right? Having, you know, an Alexa or a Google or whatever the case may be in your home. So it's just very interesting how that shift occurs. And so people are doing that now. And I think it's also partly the controller is the microphone on the PlayStation, which other people are getting upset about. It's not like you have to have something connected or anything like that. Like, it's the controller always listening to you. Compared to what it used to be where you had to have a headset with a microphone. It's built into the controller this time, which is different than it was last generation. So you can't even disconnect and say, oh, it can't listen to me because it doesn't have a microphone anymore, I think is the other thing, probably.
It is still mind-blowing, like, that when you... I sound like an old person when I say this, but, like, it blows my mind every single time when I play a game on PS4 that has a compatibility with the built-in speaker on the controller, and you're doing something and then you hear the sound coming from the controller. Like when I play Resident Evil 2, for example, like when you unlock a door, when you find like a key item to unlock a door, you actually hear the unlocking sound coming from the controller, and it freaks me out a little bit every time. I know there's like there's a similar thing with Mario Kart when you play on the Switch as well. Like it makes a little sound when you pick up items or something like that, or coins or something like that. So just little things like that kind of freak me out a little bit. Like, you're not supposed to do this. Like, as someone who grew up with like the controllers had these like huge cords and they barely did their job as a controller, and now the controller is doing all these things, and you're like, I don't know how I feel about it. But you should be able to turn off like voice settings and stuff like that, surely. I know like my PS4 is defaulted to like my voice chat is off, so that like I'm not randomly like talking or streaming or something and the people on the other side are like, what are you doing, what But
it's kind of annoying that's kind of, we've gotten to the point to where companies feel that it's good enough that, you know, that they can just kind of do that and just put something like that in. Hopefully, you know, they give you the option to turn off the microphone, but who knows? With that, are there any of the features that are coming out that are going to be integrated like into any of the games that you're looking forward to the most? I know for me, the one that I think is the one where they kind of are adding in a way to help you if you're struggling with with an achievement or like a goal in the game. They give you this kind of, you can go into this social or control panel, and it puts like a little card there that has like a video walkthrough built into the system that you can kind of follow, which I think is pretty interesting, to help people who might be like, oh, I want to get through this objective and I've been trying it over and over and over again and I just can't do it. And it puts it as like a picture-in-picture type situation where you can watch it as you play. And I think that is probably the most interesting, even though I am not the person who's going to be using it because I probably won't have a PS5 for a long time. it just
I
seems
thought you were
like
about to be like, because
no,
I'm a pro gamer and I don't
Oh.
need it.
that's not me. Have you seen me play video games, Spin?
I
Pro
have.
gamer is not who I am. But yeah, so that's
It's a
something
good option
I'm
to have for sure. Like I don't know if I would necessarily use it because I would prefer, like, I'm always complaining that the font is too tiny in a game. I'm always complaining that I have to like squint a little bit. So I'm like, I don't know if I would want to do that. I think I would probably just go straight to the source and go on YouTube or something and directly find a walkthrough.
Yeah.
If I really needed one. I think it could be cool for like trophies and stuff like that, because that's a thing that they added a bunch of new tiers and a bunch of new like things to the trophy system. So for trophy hunters, it could be cute, like, hey, you missed that thing, or like, hey, go this way, or whatever. I'm very curious to see if it's all games that are gonna have that, or if it's gonna be like Sony exclusives that are gonna have that, because I can assume that like for a third party publisher, it could be, or developer, it could be really annoying to like set that up specifically for the PlayStation, unless the Xbox has a similar system, in which case then they could probably just have like a similar system set up like they do with achievements and trophies. But yeah, I'm not necessarily excited, or like I don't necessarily use any of these features as like, oh yeah, this is the reason I'm gonna get the console, because like for me, I'll probably just upgrade my computer anyway, and I'll only get a PS5 if there's like, you know, when the new Final Fantasy comes out, and if there's no plans of it coming out on like PC or anything like that anytime soon. So that's probably my perspective on that. Like I go for the games. I don't like, if I cared about stats and cool features, I probably wouldn't have a Switch. You know what I mean? So it's I am just one for like the games anyway.
Yeah,
So, but this could
valid.
be cool for the trophies.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Chilora may or may not have a story for us about Yakuza and Streets of Rage.
Not about the Yakuza, just the game.
We suddenly get really like deep in.
The video game series.
All about.
So this is a little excerpt from Kotaku, written by Ethan Gach.
We're so sorry in advance for any names butchered today.
Gach. I don't know. Everybody's pronouncing their own names differently, so it's like impossible.
We're trying our best.
We're really trying.
Streets of Kamurocho is Streets of Rage 2, starring Yakuza's Kiryu and Majima, and will be free to play on October 17th as part of Sega's 60th anniversary event on Steam. In addition to iconic Yakuza characters, the remixed beat-em-up created by Empty Clip Studios will also feature levels inspired by the games and will have local co-op. Seeing it in action feels like coming across a beautiful fan-made prototype, except this one is real and won't get hit with a copyright takedown notice. You'll only have until October 19th to download the game, but once you do, you can keep it forever. Do you think this opens up the possibility of other official game mashups like this in the future?
I would love that. I think this is a really cute idea for something that they did for Sega's anniversary. I'm surprised they didn't do anything Sonic related. I know they're teasing it, like I think it's later down the year they're gonna have a Sonic thing that they're gonna announce. So, but I do think it's weird that they haven't done any like fun gimmicks with the Sonic series or the franchise, other than Fall Guys.
Yeah.
I guess.
I think
Ooh, that cursed Fall Guys
have
skin.
I think they just have to think about, you know, really rebooting the Sonic franchise. So they probably are like, let's just worry about that until and not just mash it up with anything. Let's get the franchise back to people liking it again.
Yeah, which they did good with Sonic Mania. So hopefully there's gonna be the rumors is that this year, because it's a big anniversary, they're gonna have like either a reboot of like Sonic Adventure, or like the third Sonic Adventure game that never came out, and now they'll have like a maybe its glorious return or something like that, which I would be down for. But back to this, as a Streets of Rage fan, I'm actually pretty excited about this. I was actually concerned at first because I thought like you only had between the 17th and the 19th to like download and play it. Like it was one of those like limited time things. So if you're listening or watching this right now as we do it live, do it right now. Hopefully the show will be out on YouTube and podcast services early enough that you'll still be able to download the game. I think it's a weird time frame, like 3 days or like 2 days. Like why don't
Yeah,
like
that's pretty fast.
do a week? Like why not? Or something like that. But I would love an official mashup for I think other properties like for example like Microsoft owns so many studios. Like they could do a cool mashup of something. Like they literally just got Bethesda and all that stuff. So they could do something cool. One of the latest mashups that I've seen from Sony was actually a long time ago. It was their version of Smash. Do y'all remember that? Like they had the PlayStation All Stars,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
was like Kratos and like I don't even remember like Sly Cooper or something. Like they had like a bunch of like random
Yeah,
characters
it was
from
pretty
the
cool.
Sony.
I thought it was.
Yeah,
Me over
Yeah,
here
they tried to
really
go off
playing
of
it
that.
because Sackboy was in it.
right.
Oh yeah, Sackboy was in it too. Yeah, I forget about that.
Yeah, I think it could be
Um,
cool if Sony did something like that because they have so many of their own like studios as well. I think it could be really cool if they did a mashup. I think it could also be cool for fans to get paid for work that they do for free anyway, and like instead of having it like be an illegal thing, it's kind of like the Sonic
yeah,
Mania thing, right? Like they developed this whole game and Sega was like, "Hey, we'll publish it and we'll give you our permission and we'll give you people to like, fine tune it and whatever." And that's how Sonic Mania
yeah,
ended up. So, I think this could be really cool like if other fan-made projects could just like kind of
yeah.
happen. That happened with Left 4 Dead as well. Like the new update was all fan made and they were just like, "Yes, we're great. Sure, do that. We'll give you the go
Yeah.
ahead." Yes. Yeah, what do y'all think?
I think it's really cool. Like I also, as a person who enjoyed like Streets of Rage, and then also like Yakuza, which is kind of a 3D style like beat 'em up as well. Like combining those two together in one game is kind of great. And I think we've already seen that mashups have been becoming more and more of a thing with like Mario, Mario versus Rabbits and that kind of stuff. So I'm excited that more and more of this is happening. I don't know if I don't know what game I want to see it happen with, but I want more of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love a good crossover. I love a good
Yeah.
crossover. What about you, Spin?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with either of these games. So
Valid.
I don't know if this would necessarily be like super my thing, but I do think like the collaboration makes sense. And
Yeah.
like I think it's really cool for like fans of those games to like have those together. I love the idea of like official, because you see like a lot of kind of mashup games like this that are fan made and aren't necessarily official, like aren't necessarily like super playable. So I love the
Yeah.
idea of like this maybe opening the door for more of those kinds of it's like fan created mashups being like official, more of a
Yeah.
thing. Like you mentioned with Sonic Mania too. Like I love the idea of, because fans of a series are like always so dedicated and always are gonna put like hundreds and hundreds of hours into stuff like this just for free. So like why not polish it and like get it
Put
out
it out
there,
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
And hire them for future projects. Like
Truly.
Sonic,
Right?
you know what I mean? Like just like hire them. Sonic Mania 2, make it happen. Something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As for like, I was kind of brainstorming about this. Like, what would I like to see a mashup of? And I was thinking of like games that I love with like different mechanics.
Mm.
So I didn't really have like a specific game in mind, but y'all know those like I'm like totally going out of left field with this one. Y'all
I'm ready.
y'all know those like mobile dress up games?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
that, but Pokemon. Like
Oh my
Aw.
God.
Pokemon contest mobile game.
Love that.
That
Love
could
that.
be cute, like a Pokemon contest. Yeah.
Yeah, because like I feel like in Gen 3, I really didn't play with the contest that much. So, but like kind of exploring that and making it its own game, I think that would be super cute, and like giving it kind of that dress-up game format.
I love
I
that.
just think that would be adorable.
Yeah.
Are you listening, Pokemon Company?
Pokemon
Take
Company,
hints. Dropping hints.
are you listening?
We're dropping hints and also pay spin for the idea. Thank you.
What about you?
Copyright
you,
TM.
Tamara?
Yeah, sure. Tell us about it.
I pretty much just agree with Spin. Like, I think that there's like a lot of people that fan make games and like do mods and things like that. Like, give them the credit and like I don't know. I think the gaming companies should be looking at those things and not look at it like, ew, gross. Why did you do this to my game?
Right.
Because it's from a place of appreciation, not or it's a place of like, you need to fix this.
Yeah.
So
And even so, like that's valid.
Right.
yeah, and like I don't know. When you said what mashups, before Spin said Pokemon contests, which I think would be an incredible game. It's something they definitely underrated and undervalued.
Yeah.
And a lot of the Pokemon sort of like quote unquote mini games, they sort of like completely abandon with each generation and never really look at them again. Like I think they could just take them all and kind of put them into one thing. So you could have the
Yeah.
contests and the underground worlds that they had for like Gen 4, which was Diamond and Pearl, puffin making, whatever else I don't remember right now.
The curries.
Pokemon cooking game?
From
The
new
curries,
one.
yeah, exactly. A lot of them are cooking. But I also think that like games like I had been thinking Pokemon as well, just conveniently. But I know a lot of people thought like if Skyrim was a Pokemon game, like how cool would that be? Like just walking around.
Oh
and, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
They're more just like natural habitat sort of thing.
That would be
which
fun.
is just kind of like yeah.
They really thought they answered that with Sword and Shield. They were like, you wanted open world stuff, and we were like, yes. And they were like, well, here's an open area.
Well, it's not the same at all. Like I don't know. It's cute that they gave like each Pokemon sort of its little space, its little area, and they made them visual. But like it's definitely not the same thing.
No,
like
yeah.
the Pokemon are not interacting with their environment, and they don't have aggressive or non-aggressive tendencies. They just walk around.
Literally
They're
just look at Ni no Kuni and make it happen. You know what I mean? Like Ni no Kuni is
Well-
literally like an open world, like RPG kind of situation. Just like do something like that, Pokemon. Hello?
Well, and I think the monsters in Ni no Kuni also had different behaviors. Like some of them were afraid of you, and some of them were aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember if
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah, I
No,
think
you're right.
Some of them like ran from you, some of them ran at
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
And like I don't know, I feel like there's so much lore in Pokemon that is just completely left
Ignored in
only
the
in the
games.
Pokedex. Yeah. That could be attributed to like how many times could you do a side quest that like a Drifloon is carrying a child away?
Love
So
that.
if
Save
you
the
don't
child
know,
quickly.
if you don't know, Drifloons are little balloon Pokemon, and they like take away lost children or something to like go die or something like that.
Basically, they steal children and take their souls.
Those Pokédex
Yeah.
entries are wild.
So like I can only imagine, like a little side quest like that, and then you can like either catch or maybe you don't have to catch the Pokemon at all. Maybe you just
You see
whatever.
it happening in the distance,
You just
right?
beat
It's
it
just-
up.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of cute that you can have those choices. Obviously, Pokemon would probably want you to force you to save the child, but
Right.
who knows? But
I would imagine they would get into some trouble. I feel like some mommies out there would be like, I cannot believe you would let my son let a child die. How dare you?
How could you give them that option?
listen, youngster Joey is a little piece of shit, and he needs to stop wearing only shorts.
Listen, but they're
It's
comfortable and
winter.
easy to wear.
I know. My Rattata
It's
is in
winter,
the top
put on some
percent of Rattata. Beyond that, another Pokemon idea that I've seen a couple times, and I think it got abandoned, was like if you were not a Pokemon trainer but a Pokemon professor. So like
Oh,
if,
yeah.
if you were one of the very first Pokemon professors, so there's no Pokedex, and you have to make the Pokedex.
Oh,
So
that's
you have
fierce.
yeah, so you have to make
I
a
love that
log of all the Pokemon and what they do and their move sets and their, you're progressively learning rather than already know.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I actually that's a great idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it could even be
All right, Pokemon
something
Company,
similar
sure,
to
spin
Pokemon
on the
Snap,
table. Yeah.
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 where like they take elements from Pokemon Snap, mixing with like maybe an open world kind of situation. You're just like browsing around, and you have other like maybe scientists or something. They're like giving you quests of like, hey, go to that area. I heard there something was happening there. I think that could be fierce.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Just for the
think.
payroll.
Right? Listen, figure it out, y'all. I was trying to think of like a mashup of my own, but I think like some of my favorites have happened already, and it was mashups that I never asked to happen. Like I think Smash is like a really like weird one where it's like, oh, you're taking like Sonic, Bayonetta, like Solid Snake. You're taking all these characters that have no business being there. Their official games aren't fighting games, and they're just there on a fighting game. I think that's. I still think to this day it's like one of the coolest games. Like I just love the crossover with that one.
Yeah.
Another one was like in my head as we were talking. I was like, oh my god, duh, Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy, and then I was like, wait, that already happened. I was like, wait, they already have Final Fantasy characters on there. I think it would be really cool because I do love Final Fantasy. I think it could be cool if they somehow made some sort of mashup where I like the idea of the Dissidia mobile one. Like Dissidia Final Fantasy was a fighting game with Final Fantasy characters, but there's a mobile version that is basically like it has the same mechanics as Dissidia, but it's turn based because it's on mobile, and you can there's like a bigger range of characters you can recruit. I think that could be really really cool if they had like an old school style Final Fantasy, maybe with like cute graphics like World of Final Fantasy or even the Dissidia mobile one, but it was like a classic RPG with like your favorite Final Fantasy characters, and maybe you can mix and match. Maybe you could go to different worlds similar to how Kingdom Hearts works, and you just go to different worlds from Final Fantasy 1 through 16 or whatever Final Fantasy is happening at that time. I think that could be really, really cool. They kind of did something like that with World of Final Fantasy, but that wasn't the cutest. That wasn't my favorite because you couldn't really play as the characters that you would meet. It was like they kind of were summons, and I never finished that game. It had potential to be great, but it was kind of like Final Fantasy meets Ni no Kuni meets like this like weird like, hey, let's have some of your favorite Final Fantasy characters, and it wasn't really my fave.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah. But, well, in other news, continuing our conversation on the Sega anniversary, y'all get your tea because this is a juicy one. So we have a write-up from IGN from Jordan Alleman, and so Sega released Golden Axe prototype which I'm just going to read the story. An ex-Sega developer has criticized the publisher following the announcement of a repackaged release of a prototype he helped create under crunch conditions, which Beam co-founder Tim Dawson took to Twitter to point out that Golden Axed, that's a smart name, by the way, a canceled prototype, a game launching on Steam as part of Sega's 60th anniversary celebrations, was initially coded by Dawson and a small team in 2012 in an attempt to revive the classic series. Dawson claims that Sega enforced very tough working conditions for the team. The launch of Golden Axe has surprised some of the prototype's original developers who worked on the project almost a decade ago, and they were not informed by Sega that it would be making a return. Dawson also mentioned that he was working on the game for 14-hour days amid 7-day work weeks, and called Sega parasites for the tongue-in-cheek description of the game originally featured on its Steam store page, which read as follows: Golden Axe may be janky, may be buggy, may be an artifact of its time, but it offers a unique glimpse into the prospect of a project that could have been. Oof. I did not read that Steam description, and now I hate everything about it. But what did
Can we say no, ma'am? No,
yeah,
ma'am.
can we
Like,
just not?
Someone obviously hated Golden Axe growing up.
Literally, yeah. Someone that is currently at Sega, they were like, you know what would be great if we just shat on an entire idea to revive the Golden Axe series, because as a kid I hated it and I couldn't beat that one level.
yeah.
I have no personal relationship with Golden Axe. I did think that the title was cute, like Golden Axed, but at the same time it's like, why would you just like randomly bring it back without paying additional for them to at least like spruce it up a little bit, or to be like, hey, like maybe a couple years ago they could have been like, hey, we're doing an anniversary thing and we want to bring back Golden Axe, and maybe y'all could like, tweak it a little bit and make it cute. It just doesn't have to be like a full game. We could just do like a couple levels, but obviously from the work conditions they were in, obviously Sega would probably not want to do that, because they probably wouldn't even want to talk to them in the first place, because it doesn't seem like they kind of separated under the most ideal circumstances. So I don't know. What do y'all feel about this entire situation? Like your first reactions about this, right? Then we can get into like crunch culture, because there's other topics going around recently about crunch culture. So I think it could be not fun. It could be good for us to get into the topic of crunch culture.
Yeah.
But what did y'all think about this? Did y'all grow up with the Golden Axe, anything like that?
So I didn't really play the Golden Axe series at all, or game, but I just feel like the idea that you published this game in a way where you're just like, oh, we're going to take all this work that we forced these people to work on and then canceled it, right? And then call it janky and maybe buggy and all of that is like, it's really a slap in the face to the people who spent their time working on it in whatever in the conditions that you made them work on this game, to then basically snatch the rug from under them and say, we're not going to do this anymore, right? It's just kind of like, and like Chalora said, it's like somebody who had a bad time with this game and then decided to say, this is what I'm going to write about it on the store page, like janky, buggy, and an artifact of its time. It's like, why was that necessary to publish it in that manner? Like, you could have just published the prototype and be like, oh, this was a prototype and we just want to put it out there for the 60th anniversary. That could have been enough. And I bet you the people who worked on it might have still been upset, but not nearly as upset.
Right.
Calling it janky and buggy. I would be very upset if someone referred to something that I spent, 14 hours a day, 7 days a week working on, and then had that pulled from under me to say, no, we're going to cancel this project. And now you're using it as, oh, look, our 60th anniversary. We're going to put this out there. Like, the name is cute, but that's about it at this point. Like, I won't play it.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Yeah,
What about?
I thought that description was definitely like the nerve of like, because a little bit more background that I got from the same article. They only had 2 weeks to make this. And so of course, like the game's gonna be a little buggy. You gave them 2 weeks to make it.
Yeah,
And
with
then you're
no
gonna be
days off.
and you're gonna be like, oh, it's janky and buggy. Of course it is. Like that was just mind blowing to me. And since then, Sega did take that out of the Steam and they wrote an apology. But still, like, why do that in the first place? You know?
Yeah.
And to not let the fact that the developers who worked on this were surprised when it came out, like they didn't even let them know. Like,
Yeah.
what? I get Sega owns that work that they did, but still, I feel like at least give them a call, be like, hey, we're doing this.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know. It's a weird situation. Like,
Again, they called it a prototype. So to me, like at the end of the day, that's fine. But it's the reference to it as this like janky, buggy mess, like it was a piece of crap that never should have seen the light of day, that I think I have the biggest problem with,
Yeah.
right? It's like you're calling it a prototype. Like that lends itself to the fact that it will have some issues. It won't be
Yeah.
perfect. But just referring to it in that way, like you already kind of gave it that by calling it golden axed, right? Like it was a cutoff thing that like wasn't ever really gonna come out, but like
Yeah.
it's just the reference to it in this way just is just the biggest slap in the face to those people, to me, and it just makes no sense why you would do that as the developer and publisher, right? So
And even to the fans of the series, I would assume that
yeah,
like
true.
someone who maybe had they were like excited, they were like, oh, there's a golden axe thing coming out now for the anniversary, that's amazing. And then for them to be like, wait, there were people working on this, and then they worked on this in terrible working conditions, and also the game got canceled years ago, and now they're making it seem like they're doing this grand gesture by just being like, hey, this is a project that we worked on, but like we canceled, but like because we have an anniversary now, like we're gonna make it seem like we're giving you a treat. And it's like, well, not really. Doesn't really seem like one.
Right.
Yeah. Do you feel as though crunch culture is necessary? And obviously, there's been news going around about Cyberpunk and how they refused to like delay their game again, and how the developers, I think it was like an email that leaked or something, that they were like having their employees work like 6-day weeks and like for like more overtime and stuff like that, and it was mandatory. So do y'all feel as though crunch culture is necessary? It should it happen? What do you think, Chalora?
I don't really know what crunch culture means. I am assuming it's like they put them under like really strict like crunching, you know?
Yeah, let me give you like a general definition from Google. Shout out to Ruin Crown. Crunch culture is a term given to the practice of working long, intensive hours in order to make sure a game is ready by its release. During crunch periods in the games industry, many individuals work upwards to 40 hours a week, and obviously it depends with everyone. Like in the Golden Axe situation, they were literally working 7 days a week for 14 hours a day. So it's that kind of vibe. Like, hey, we mismanaged our product, so you work harder. Like,
what I don't understand about the gaming industry and this crunch thing that you're talking about, like, I just don't get it, because, well, I do get it because they're like, oh, we want to get this out right away, but then why does it take 5 years to make it? I just don't get it. Like, these gaming companies always do this to their employees, which is terrible, and probably is what causes them to be so, like, causes more bugs and more problems, so they have to take more time to fix it, is probably what the problem is. Because like back in the day, you know, what was it, Rareware or whatever, came out with Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie in like a year.
Yeah.
Like 2 whole games in a year, and they were both hits. So I don't understand why it takes like, I mean, maybe, technology's evolved and all this, but like, I don't know. I think it's probably the same amount of work, if not maybe just more or something. But
Yeah.
I think that whatever practices is going on, and because it's obviously repeated throughout all the companies,
Oh
all the
yeah.
gaming companies, whatever practices that they're doing is not working, and I don't think that it's from a at the level of the actual developers. I don't think it's their fault. I think it's whatever's above them is going like, I don't like this. I want you to fix it. And like,
Right.
look, what are we supposed to do with big babies who don't know what they want and
Right.
don't have like a very clear vision, or um, they throw tantrums like we can see with Golden Axe. To me, that says tantrum. Someone up there, who writes the stuff didn't have to consult below, um, so they didn't know about it, and then went, I hate it. It's not what I wanted.
Yeah, it's definitely very much that. Yeah.
So that's the perception I get from crunching. That's what I get from Golden Axe, the description. And they're always going to come out with some shitty apology because they weren't actually sorry. They're just sorry that you found out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to me, I think that the gaming industry people are big babies and they're very spoiled and they're getting money, but they're not paying enough to the developers, and they're not treating them properly.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, in that topic of crunch culture, there's a similar sentiment that happened way back in the day with Final Fantasy. Like, because of Final Fantasy 7 being a huge hit, they literally worked on 3 games at the same time. They worked on 8, 9, and 10, and they ended up coming out in 99, 2000, and 2001 respectively. So, and this is like mainline series. I am only looking at like the mainline games, so I don't know if any spin-offs ended up coming out like while those, like within those 3 years. But I do think that nowadays we have a huge issue with like announcing things too soon. Like, we don't need, like, why? Well, the problem is, like, I know why. I was gonna ask, like, why did they do it? But like, obviously they do it because it's like, hey, stock market, we want to tell the people what they want to hear so that our stocks go up.
Yeah.
But like, it helps no one for us to know the Final Fantasy 15, for example, when that game, like, we didn't need to know that it was coming out and then for it to take like 10 years to come out, right? Or like for Final Fantasy 7 remake, like, how long ago did they tease it until it actually came out, and then they had to delay it, and then they had to do all of that? It's like, I feel like you could easily avoid crunch if it's like, if you just don't have a public release date for it. Like, I'll give the example of, obviously we're a new podcast and stuff like that, but like, we had our tentative release date that we were like, maybe we want to get started that week. And then we were like, but if we don't have everything ready by then, we can just do the week after because nobody knows when we're getting started anyway. So I think that's one of those things where it's like, they don't promote the movie. Well, a lot of the times they do actually, but they used to like only promote the movie when the movie was ready, and then you had the trailers come out and then you would watch it. Nowadays it's different because there's press conference, like there's press releases for like they casted this actor, this actress, and it's like they're shooting it right now. So like, I think it's the hype culture of it all as well. Like, they want to know from like they literally wrote like down in a piece of paper, Final Fantasy 16 is happening, and they were like, guess what, ladies, we need to crunch so that y'all have a trailer out by this day, because that day we have a conference and we have a thing. Like, I'm just giving this as an example. I hope this is not happening at Square Enix, and I hope Final Fantasy 16 ends up not being a product of crunch and terrible working conditions. But yeah, with Cyberpunk, there's been a discussion about it too, because they specifically said at some point that they would never do it. They were like, oh, we're against crunch, we're not gonna do that, so that's why we delayed our game to begin with. So like, and then all of a sudden these things come out and they're like, well, so what's the truth? And a lot of people don't care. A lot of people are like, I'm excited about it anyway, it's not a fun circumstance, but like, I'm looking forward to the game. But yeah, what do you think, Spin? What do you think about this entire like crunch culture that the games industry is unfortunately under? Even Smash Brothers is under it. Like the poor guy that works on it, he looks visibly tired and exhausted every time there's an announcement.
Yeah.
I feel like that because of this situation, because the games industry is just like go 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 go. Everything's moving so fast, and like everybody's having to crunch to compensate it. I think it's making games worse. Like you get things like day one bugs that like totally break the game. You get things like we need to have a WWE 2K game every year, and then 2K20 was an absolute buggy disaster.
Yeah.
Like, gee, I wonder why.
Right. Assassin's Creed for the longest time, they were releasing one a year as well, and it was like, girl, what are you expecting? They're going down in quality for a reason. I wonder why.
Definitely.
I feel like it's actively making games worse. Because if you're like overworking people and making it so that they have to get like this much done in this much time, like of course that's going to affect the quality of the games, right?
Yeah.
You know, like, so I just feel like if we actually let the people who make the games, you know, take breaks when they need to and like work a normal schedule, like maybe we wouldn't have as much coming out as often, but we'd probably get better games out of it, you know?
Yeah.
That's definitely
how I feel about it.
That's definitely true. I agree with that sentiment because it's very interesting, especially Ruby, that you bring up the Assassin's Creed aspect of it all, right? So Assassin's Creed, when they were doing this, like, we're going to release these big games every year, it's always under crunch and blah, 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 blah. Those games were buggy messes. They were some of the worst received games in the series. And then when they took a step back and said, okay, let's take our time and actually work on the game, some of the newer games are loved by people, right? Yeah. Like, you know, people are just like, oh, this is great. This is really what I wanted Assassin's Creed to continue to evolve into. And it's evolved into games that people really enjoy, again, because they've taken the time to make them into good games. I think with the Cyberpunk 2077 thing, part of the issue with crunch culture is announcing games, period. Like, you don't need to announce, like, oh, we're working on a game. Like, with movies, like, I still don't feel like the movie industry is under this crunch culture, because they're not going and saying, oh, we're releasing this movie in 7 years, and then people are expecting it to come out. Like, yes, you see casting, and yes, you see a lot of these things happening, and sometimes they go back, but a lot of it's usually like quick post-editing changes that they make, and it's usually not, oh, we said we're going to release this movie 2 years from now, and it's now 2 years from now, and we haven't finished making it, so we have to rush through the making of the movie. It's usually, a movie gets announced usually about maybe a year in advance, outside of maybe the Marvel franchises. And even then, it's like, oh, here's a teaser that you can suspect something is coming or not, right? It doesn't mean it's coming, kind of situation. But just saying, oh, we have a game, it's going to come out, and then people get hyped for it, and I get that because people want to play your game, but why do that and then give a date and then say, I don't know. I feel like I'd rather have a game delayed. At least you tell me, hey, I'm going to delay it so we can continue working on it, than you saying, okay, well, we don't want to delay it, so I'm just going to keep pushing people to get it done. It's toxic, and it's really bad, and it's a product of the fact that people don't realize that human beings have a limit, and money is the driving force of all of this. Don't let me get on my anti-capitalism soapbox here, because I'll do it for forever and ever and always.
No, but you're not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not wrong. It's you can make a game and you can like make it happen, and you can even tease it in advance. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with like teasing a game, or just saying in an interview like, hey, we are working on a game, but we don't have any information on it yet, or something. But like, how many of these games that we look at like in these like conventions like E3 and stuff like that, and we look at them and we're like, there's no gameplay. They literally just put together a cinematic so that they could announce the game, and they're saying it's coming out next year. Like, we didn't even see any gameplay. Like, we don't even know how far along they are in it. So it is an interesting difference with that as well, because with movie productions or any kind of production when it comes to TV and stuff like that, usually they're unionized as well. So everybody is only working a certain amount of hours per week. They're only doing certain things and all that stuff. But with gaming, there's a huge discussion on there not really being a union of any kind. Like, there's barely a union for voice acting, and some companies don't work with actors that are unioned. So, like, there's a whole thing. And I think we could move on into, like, what we think could be done to improve the conditions for the developers. Because everybody's always talking about, like, oh, get the game to support the devs, but that's not necessarily the case. Like, they already got their contracts, they already got paid for the work that they did. It's not that you getting millions of copies of that game is going to make the designer more money. That's not a thing. So do you want to go into it, Chalora, about like what you think could be done? And you said something as well about compensation as well that you could get into.
Well, like, I don't know. I'm sure that they make money by the hour. I don't think that I don't think that buying more copies or buying a copy does anything for the devs. They get paid by the hour. It's not like they get a royalty check or something. Like when it's not like a movie. Every time you play it on TV, they get a royalty. They don't get royalties.
No.
The people that make the money are the heads of the company or the company itself.
Yep.
So
studios,
it's for the publisher. The money they make later is for the publisher, not for the developer.
So the developer's already paid. He's just, or he or she or them or they are going to get what they already got, and that's it. They're not going to get any extra. They're not going to get anything else. They don't get publicity. They don't get, an extra little credit on their report card. They don't get anything.
Right.
So if we want to support developers, we need to work on, the discussion, keeping it active, making it a priority. Maybe there should be a larger discussion talking about it. We've got we have a lot of indie developers who are flourishing. We've got like Concerned Ape making Stardew Valley.
Mm-hmm.
He comes out with an update for that game 2 times a year, once a year, whenever he wants, because he's the developer and he's the boss. And when he has the time to work, and I think he's actively working all the time, and I think he's also making another game at the same time. But I don't think he overworks himself, and I'm okay with that. Stardew Valley is a great game on its own, and we just got an update earlier this year.
We did.
He shows us progress on Twitter all the time, and it kind of gives us interest. Like, he posted something yesterday, and there was one of the little slimes with sunglasses on it, and people were like, like, it just, people are still interested in the game just from small developments. So if your game is good, people will still be interested in it. You don't need to, have an extravagant cinematic. If Square Enix was like, hey, we're working on this thing, and all they did was show us like a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
One chocobo.
One chocobo. All they did was say, hey, here's the sound bite of the chocobo, just going, quack. People would be like, oh my god, it's so cute.
Everybody would lose their mind.
Right.
Yeah, I'm making it my ringtone.
It's true.
I'm gonna make it my text alert when my mom texts me, whatever.
Exactly.
So I think that we need to work on the evolution of this industry. I think, people have been saying for years, oh, the indies. Well, contribute to the indies.
Yeah.
Tell them that they're doing great. Support the shit out of them. Like I'm still boycotting Final Fantasy until I see something good. Like I'm not impressed. And it's the same with these other companies. When I see something I'm not impressed with, it's like I don't I can support other things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can show your
That's
distaste
definitely
for
true.
something through your wallet and however you use it and however you give whoever you want engagement and whatever. And there is also like I think it's also important for developers to actively have voices about being anti-crunch. I know, for example, there's Mike Bithell. He recently, a teammate of mine from on Twitch, actually helped work on the Solitaire Conspiracy game that recently came out. And Mike Bithell is literally a director for multiple games. There's that. There's John Wick. There's Thomas Was Alone, Volume. So he's behind a lot of games, and he's an indie developer. And he's very vocal about being anti-crunch and how he would never put his team under that because it's not worth it. Like it's just like
Yeah.
he will do everything in his power to like talk to like publishers or talk to Steam or whatever. And I'm just paraphrasing. I'm obviously not quoting him directly. But he does everything he can to be like, hey, remember that tentative release date? I don't think we're gonna make that. So
Yeah, we're
can
not
you
gonna
just
reach
like
it.
what would be a best date for us to do that? And he kind of works with like the people on the other side, maybe at Sony, maybe at like Valve or whomever, and he will make that happen in a different way. And I know he hired like consultants and stuff like that for the latest games to make sure that he was properly representing people and to make sure that his game was not offensive. what a great concept.
What a concept.
Just
Yeah.
making sure that your game does not portray minorities in a terrible way. What a concept. But if he can do it as a developer for an indie studio, like what's stopping Sega? What's stopping Square Enix? What's stopping Sony, Microsoft? The list goes on. Yeah, I think there's no excuse for it. I think it's like, why should all of the employees in a studio be punished for the for the manager messing up? Because at the end of the day, it's like a manager messing up and being like, yeah, we can hit that release date. And then they're like, right, everyone else? And they're like, well, I guess I'm sleeping in the studio today. I guess I'm working an extra few hours today because you said the game was going to come out. Right? So it's like, and nobody ends up being impressed. Like, literally, it was like, and I think it also needs to be a discussion for gaming discussions. I know that was very meta, but like, video game podcasts, publications, people who are talking about games and they have huge platforms, don't actively be like, oh, crunch sucks, but I'm so excited for Cyberpunk. Like, okay, like, what's the point of doing that? Like you're saying that you have a distaste for that, but then you're still gonna get the game and you're gonna support it and you're gonna like promote it and you're gonna like say all these great things about it. It's like, okay, then what's the point of you saying that you don't like crunch culture? You might as well just shut up.
Right.
You might as well just enjoy your cereal and buy games by problematic people. Don't even get me started on Cyberpunk. They literally just had a campaign with like a cis woman cosplayer cosplaying as a trans character with like a glowing crotch area, and it was very like fetishizing of like trans identities. So
what?
Oh yes.
Yeah, it was.
God. Okay, well,
I didn't do enough research to bring it up as an actual topic. I only saw trans folks being like, well, what the fuck is going on here today? And so I wasn't already going to support Cyberpunk anyway due to multiple reasons, that being one of them, and another being the fact that they're literally forcing people to crunch. So yeah, that's that on that. In other news though, Spin, let's finish off our let's finish off our news section of the show with something way nicer.
Something nicer. All right, y'all like cats.
I do like cats, yeah.
Cats are adorable.
Okay, so can we just talk about the preview of Spider-Man Miles Morales that they showed and how he has a little cat? Okay.
Please.
He has a little cat, and the cat has a little mask, and it's adorable. Before we get into it, I'm gonna read an excerpt from CNET that was written by Bonnie Burton. In this new gameplay footage from video posted Wednesday by Game Informer, Miles is notified by his friendly neighborhood Spider-Man app. Also love that.
I love that.
About a bodega robbery. In the game, the bodega cat, Spider Cat, is stolen in the robbery, but Miles rescues the feline, conveniently placed inside a backpack. Spider Cat's actual name in the game appears to be Spider-Man, which means there are multiple versions of Spider-Man protecting the city now alongside Miles. After completing this side quest, players are rewarded with a special Spider-Cat suit that includes a cool hoodie for Miles and a tiny Spider-Man mask for Spider-Cat. Spider-Cat travels with Miles inside his backpack. Okay, so, y'all.
I love everything about it.
I had no choice but to pay attention to this because my partner literally, like, as soon as he saw it on Twitter, he, like, broke down the door and was like, you need to look at this right now. Spider-Man...
Immediately.
This is like, you need to look at this right now. He has a little mask.
He does. It's the cutest.
We were just both here, just like absolutely dying. He has a little mask to protect his little cat's secret identity, and I'm just like.
It's so cute.
It's so good.
I love everything about this.
He helps in combat. Like I've seen the trailer too. Like he like fully jumps out of the backpack to scratch people's faces and then jumps back into the backpack. You can return him to the bodega. He has a little throne at the counter that says Spider-Man. It's the cutest thing. The hoodie looks very comfy, by the way, that Miles wears as well. It looks like it's been worn a few times. That, you know, that one hoodie that you have that you're like, that you've washed countless times, and it has, you know, it looks like time has passed, you know, time has worn it off a little bit. I'm excited about the game. Like, everything that I hear about this game is amazing, like from representation, from like the graphics, from gameplay, from little details like this, like with the Spider-Cat, Spider-Man, like hello, like I
was gonna get the game anyway, but now I'm just like, I can play like with a little cat in my backpack, of course.
Yeah, it definitely makes me want to play it for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How do y'all feel about that?
I am excited about that, and I think the game itself, like, granted, it might be a little bit before I play it, but I'm excited because of the fact that I feel like the biggest thing for me, like along with Spider-Cat and the fact that, like, you know, there's this culture of the bodega cat in New York, which is really, really interesting and really, really cool. And so they kind of added that in. But I feel like the representation of Miles has been so well thought out from just the way that the developer has done it, and actually looking into, you know, the Afro-Puerto Rican culture and the fact that he really is a part, it seems like from everything they've shown in terms of trailers, like he's really a part of that culture, and they're not just like, oh, he's, you know, he is, you know, Afro-Puerto Rican and that's it. That's the representation we're giving him. Like, he actually, they're putting him living within that community and having that kind of stuff, and then adding in the bodega cat is just such a nice tie-in to that, which just makes it seem like they took the time to think about, like we mentioned, think about the representation that they're giving a character and giving them a personality, and not just saying, here's what they look like, that's representation.
Exactly.
Like thinking about,
I'm so glad.
Thinking about the clothes, thinking about the little things around them, thinking about the way they interact with their friends and the other people around them in general, and just making them human, I think is so big. It's so big, and it makes me want to play the game even more. Like, I was not as interested in, like, the other, you know, the original version of Spider-Man, the new one. Like, I like it. I was like, yeah, I would play it if I had a PlayStation, but this one makes me want to play the game because of this. I'm like, it just seems like the story is going to be compelling from Miles Morales' perspective, and I want to play it for that reason. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like that they're not just like, okay, we're just basically going to do like a Peter Parker Spider-Man game, but Miles is in it. Like they're making it a Miles Morales game. Like, and this is just like one like tiny little like part of that. And I love that. I love that a lot. So that makes me feel really excited about like what else we're gonna see in the game coming forward. Chalora, did you have any thoughts about it, or like what are you feeling?
I don't have a lot. I don't know Spider-Man like at all.
No
So,
worries, no worries.
but it kind of reminded me like there's a lot of cats featured in games right now, like or that are coming out. Like there was what is it called? Because they showed it at the PlayStation.
Oh yeah,
Stray?
the Stray.
Yeah,
I'm so excited for that.
me too. But no, I think that's great, and like you guys obviously knew more of the or more familiar with the material, so it sounds like they're doing a great job, and that is exciting to me. And like maybe I will pick up a Spider-Man game. I've never played one. It just sounds fun and interesting, and I don't know. It like Jam was saying, like I think it's really nice when they actually like make a character fully fleshed out. It's not just like a stereotype or whatever they think of a person.
Yeah, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Definitely.
I'm always down for some more like companion, a pet in a video game. I'm always down for that concept.
Always nice.
If y'all couldn't tell from us talking about Pokemon for so long earlier, we do love a companion. We do. Absolutely. I think it's really fun, and I think like what y'all were saying, like the small little details from like the music playing in the background, the way that NPCs are interacting with each other, with your character, all that stuff, and yeah, it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful to see the direction that games seem to be moving towards, and towards a more inclusive and towards a more diverse place. Like I remember even this year there have been like game trailer reveals and stuff like that, and I remember being so impressed oftentimes by indie developers, let's be completely honest, but
Yeah.
it was really cool seeing like characters of so many different ethnicities and characters of so many different backgrounds. And I remember even like in general being like, whoa, like none of these main characters, like, or like most of these main characters, like none of them are like cis males. Like I remember for like some conferences I was like, yes, female character, yes, female character, and I was like, wait, yeah, like they're just fully like they're stepping away from that formula of like, oh yeah, video games, like only straight white dudes play video games, so let's make every character relatable to them. And it's like, well, we're in 2020, things are different, things have been different for a long time. Please catch up. We can have a female character be a lead character and not have her sexualized. We can have people represent their culture in proper ways, and even use the like beautiful like stories and tales of people's different cultures to like use that into like gaming lore, and use that into like building beautiful fictional worlds even. I'm excited for like the potential of like gaming moving forward, especially because I have an assumption that this game is going to do very well. So hopefully it will be a big sign of like, this is what we need more of, and hopefully that's what we will see more of moving forward.
Yes.
Yeah, quickly before we go, what has everyone been playing these days? What is everybody up to? I don't have much to add. I will say that a little something about Fall Guys Season 2. I was very negative about it last week. I did play it a little bit more, and I kind of changed my perspective a little bit on it. I was kind of like, they made it more of a treat. So like you if you play it more, you're like, oh, I wonder if I'll get the new maps. And then once you get it, you're like, oh, this is special, it's a new map. However, they did change that. Apparently now there's a bigger likelihood of you getting the newer maps, which I do really enjoy. I think there's starting to be a little bit of a problem again with hacking. There's been a couple situations where hackers have been making their way back into the game, unfortunately. So yeah, I played a little bit more of that. I actually really enjoy a couple of like the new maps that they do have. I've been mainly consumed by Genshin, though. I'm not even gonna lie. I've been proceeding with that story slowly but surely. Literally the other day, my adventure rank was so low that it wasn't so low, but it wasn't high enough that I could do a story mission. So I literally just was like, I was running around the map and flying around the map, just unlocking those like statues that give you adventure points, and you can also like teleport to those locations. So I was just kind of doing that, and I was like, this is great. I'm just browsing around, and that game really helps me with like when I'm having a bad day, or like when my mental health isn't at the greatest. It helps me like not focus on what's going on in my head. It helps me like, I'm visually focused. I can have something playing in the background, because let's be real, a lot of the time I skip over what they're saying anyway. I get entertained by the combat. It's really like, gaming really can be like a meditative like experience, where it's like you're kind of just like, the thoughts that you may have or the things that you may be going through kind of become secondary to what's going on, because you're like, oh, I don't care what's going on up here in my brain, because I have a match of Fall Guys to win. Or like, like, so gaming has been like really important for me, and specifically Genshin has been really good. I can't say good stuff about it enough. I'm just so impressed by it still. And it doesn't like, the main thing about it that I really love still is that they don't actively push like payment kind of stuff to your face, because a lot of mobile games, it's like the first thing that you see is like, hey, buy this, buy that, exclusive costume, get this, get that. Literally you have to go through menus to find anything that's like money related for Genshin, and I really, really love that. So yeah, that I haven't really been doing anything that new. I'm still playing Resident Evil. Spiritfarer has been getting me, because I had to say goodbye to two of the characters. In one stream, I had to say goodbye to two of the characters, and the storylines were so sad. Like one of the characters, they don't go into what's going on with the character. They usually use metaphors and stuff like that. So for one of the characters, it's like, oh, I had to go through, like, the dragon came back and stuff like that. And people have theories of what the dragon could be. And maybe this character was like, oh, I'm very forgetful. And this character was literally forgetting my name. They thought I was their daughter and all that stuff. And I was like, oh, no. And you could kind of, like, relate that to, like, real life problems that people have. And it's a really beautiful game. I honestly only have positive feedback on games this week. So we love that for me. Yeah, what have y'all been up to gaming wise?
I have been playing I've been playing more Resident Evil 7 because it's, spooky season. I've also been playing a lot of because I've been very busy with school this week. I've been playing a lot of this game called Slayaway Camp, which is it's on mobile, but it's basically like a little puzzle game where you play as a killer that you have to kind of like move on this like 2D map, and you have to move them around to get to the people that you're trying to like kill. And so, but it's framed as like, kind of a Friday the 13th situation where you're moving around and you have to avoid obstacles, and you only have so many moves to get to the person type of thing. So it's just like a fun puzzle game that I can play on my phone, and it's also on like Xbox, Steam, and different platforms, but it's just given me a way to kind of play and do puzzles and kind of take my mind off of other stuff, which has been nice. And then also, like I mentioned last week, playing TBD constantly, because that is what I'm obsessed with. But
Yeah.
RE7 has been really fun to get back into, because it's been lots of spooky, scary stuff, and I love that. So
Nice.
Yeah.
How are you finding this playthrough of it versus your first playthrough of it? Because sometimes you catch different details. Sometimes you're like, oh, I didn't even notice that when I first played it.
I find myself being slightly more reserved with my gameplay than I was the first time I played RE7. First time I kind of barreled into things because I wasn't like, even though there are times that are clearly meant to be like, oh, this is gonna be spooky, I'm like, even though I know I know it's coming, so I'm like, oh wait, I'm gonna go. Oh no, I'm gonna turn around. I'm not gonna go yet because I don't want to get scared. And then I keep going, and then I still get scared by the same thing that I know is gonna be
No.
there, because I'm being so reserved. Like, oh wait, maybe it's not gonna happen. And then I kind of slowly inch my way towards something, and then it pops up, and I'm just like, wait, why am I scared? But it's been a lot of fun. It's made me be more also resourceful with my materials and items, which has been helpful because a lot of times the first time I play through a game, I'm just like, especially Resident Evil games, I just kind of shoot and go and say, resource management, what's that? And now I'm actually thinking about resource management. So even though I'm getting more scared to some extent because I'm playing with my headphones to give myself a more immersive experience instead of using the normal speakers. I am doing better with the resource management, but still getting spooked a lot more than I did the first time.
Yeah.
And I'm
That
enjoying that,
resource
actually.
management gets you. Like, I really try to be good. I'm always like, every 2 minutes I'm like, y'all, I'm trying to be conservative about my spendings in this game, and then my aim betrays me, and all of a sudden I'm out of ammo because I tried to shoot this one zombie and it wouldn't die. Perhaps because I wasn't shooting at its head, or maybe I was aiming incorrectly, but that's a different
No.
point.
RE2's like aiming. You could be aiming at their head and you got to shoot them like 50 times point blank. And I'm like, this should be done. This should be done.
Yeah, like, why did that one zombie die and you didn't? Like, what's the difference? Like, I don't get it. But then it's also super hard to, because I'm playing it on my PS4, it's really hard to aim on controller. Like, I've never been a first-person shooter person. My brother kind of played like Call of Duty and all of those like games growing up on the PS1 and 2 and all that. But like me, I never did. So when I first got into first-person shooters, it was on PC. So I got used to aiming on mouse and keyboard, and now I'm disgusting at aiming with a controller. So that's my life. What about you, Spin? What have you been playing?
Well, on this past Wednesday, me and you, Ruby, actually, we got into Crash 4 on a stream earlier on this channel, and that was so much fun. Like, I was so engrossed in the game that like we went for like 3 hours and I forgot to take a little bit of a break.
Yeah. We were like, we're going to take a break. It's going to be great. We're going to do all of that. And then the stream was just going, and Spin was having so much fun. And I was like, do I interrupt? Because I was just there for commentary. Spin was the one playing the game, but I was like, I don't want to interrupt because he's having fun. And then afterwards, we were both like so hungry and we were tired, and we're like, well.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like, wait a minute. We've been going for 3 hours. When did that happen?
Exactly.
But it was so much fun. I really loved having that experience because like it really feels like a sequel to the original trilogy. Like there are modern touches in there. Like I put it on modern mode, so there's no like lives. It just counts up when you die,
which is lovely.
Was fun. I could have broken the death counter in that last in that last boss level.
Oh my gosh.
That was a really difficult boss though.
It was, but it wasn't like the kind of difficult where you're like, ugh, just it's like the kind of difficult where you're just like every time you feel like you're getting closer and like you see the path and you're just like, okay, I just need to do this. Like it didn't feel like it was the game's fault. Like it felt like I was actively in control of it. Yeah. And it was really, really fun. But yeah, thanks so much to everyone who was there for that, because that was super fun, and I would love to get into more Crash 4 if y'all would want to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to do more of those like casual streams when we're like we're not talking about games in like a serious-ish fashion. Yeah. We want to have those times where like it's like you see 2 of us or 3 of us and we're just kind of like relaxed and you just get to see a little bit more of us. So it was super fun, I will say. What about you, Chalora? What have you been up to gaming wise?
I really tried not to play Genshin, but I played Genshin.
The disappointment in yourself that it sounds like, is you're just like, oh.
Story of my life. Like I tried
Well,
not to. I was going to be productive, but I couldn't resist.
I'm almost adventure level 32, and there's not going to be any more story quests until November 11th. So I don't know why I'm still playing it.
Yeah, you have all the dailies. You have They have a
And my
battle
daily,
pass too. I was so annoyed. I was like, you have a battle pass as well? Why did you? No, absolutely not.
well, and I'm debating getting the battle pass, but it's like, do I get all the rewards? Like, because like they give you daily rewards, so do I still get those daily rewards if I'm late in the month? I don't know.
Oh,
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
yeah.
But like, I don't know. I don't imagine you'd have to like sign up at the start of the month to get all the, you know what I mean? Like that would be kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't. It's like a thing. I don't know how long. I don't know if it's timed or anything. I just know that there's a free version and a paid version. You have to do like certain quests and certain objectives in order to like level up in that battle pass.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. I'm not too invested in it because the paid version is way better. The rewards for the paid version is way better. So I'm like,
It's okay.
yeah. So I'm just like I'm just playing the game normally, and if I see that I got something, I'm like, cute, but like the rewards aren't great.
Cute. A moment. Love that.
I think that the rewards for Battle Pass could definitely be improved. I was doing some of the math for the summoning or the wishing or whatever. To do a full wish of 10 is to do $15, which I think is way too much,
No.
especially when like, you're not guaranteed a character. So it's way too much for me.
Yeah.
Just in my, but I don't know. I'm still fine doing my little freebies.
Same. I get so excited every time. I'm like, I have 160. Yes. And it's usually a weapon, and I'm like, ugh, I hate it here.
Yeah. Or it's like, I don't know, there's so many characters I don't have. Why don't you just give me that character? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Give me a character. Oh my
Well,
god.
I downloaded the game,
Yeah.
so I'm one step closer to actually playing it.
Yes.
But
We will convert Jam.
from a person
Yeah, probably.
basically done with what's available, there's still a lot to do, and the story is really cool. The characters are really cool. So I'd suggest it. The reason I'm only playing Genshin lately is because I'm very busy. Like Jam said, like I'm not doing school, but I'm working on a lot of projects all over the place, and a lot of them have deadlines. So
Yeah.
Booked and busy.
No, but that's like I think it's important for us to kind of be like honest about stuff like that, because I feel like sometimes you listen to not just gaming podcasts but a lot of like gaming discussions, and it feels like everybody is playing everything under the sun within a week, and you're like,
Yeah.
that's not the experience for the average person. Like the average person is not playing 1,000 games or playing all the new games that came out. Like
Exactly.
like I'm probably gonna be saying the same 3 games for the next few weeks until I end them on stream, because I only play games once a week. So I'm like, I play Spiritfarer once a week, I play Resident Evil once a week, so I'm probably gonna be talking about the same damn games for the next few weeks, and that's just the realities of like your average person. Like you're not necessarily playing all the things, you don't have all the time in the world to play games.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fun though, and thank you everybody for listening to this week's episode.
Thank y'all.
We are so excited to keep doing this podcast every single Saturday at 6 p.m. BST. I'm so concerned about time zones now because I know it's a matter of weeks until everything changes again with daylight savings and all that shit. So I am so annoyed. But anyway, it's
daylight saving time.
That's like 1 p.m. Eastern time and 12
p.m.
Central. There you go. Look at me. Time zones, conversions. We love to see it.
Time zone queen.
Right?
podcast?
Yes.
It's more likely than you think.
Yes, absolutely.
Mathematics, we do that.
Well, define we.
We all do it. I didn't say well.
T. Okay, yeah, you're okay. You got me there. You got me there. But yeah, we're everywhere at Just Gaming Tingz, Tingz with a Z, of course. So we're on YouTube. We don't have a custom URL, so please subscribe to our channel on there so that we can have a custom URL. Just look up Just Gaming Tingz Podcast. We'll be on there, I promise. We're also on Spotify. I know we're getting uploaded into other podcast services. It takes a little bit to generate all the profiles and all the things everywhere, but I know for a fact we're on Spotify. So if you're listening to this, click on that follow button. Follow Just Gaming Tingz. Help us
Follow us
in the
please.
algorithm. We
We'll
would
love
love
you
that.
forever.
Yes. And just quickly, everyone, where can people find you on your own personal channels and accounts and all that stuff? Because we also do our own projects. Like Chilora was saying, we all have our own things going on. So yeah, let's start with Chilora this time. What are you up to?
I am working, well, I've already finished, but I'm quote unquote working on the Absolutely Gaga Ball, which will be available or will be shown at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time over on twitch.tv/Miss Diana Hole on the 26th of October. And then there's also Paranormal Dragtivity, which is hosted on twitch.tv/Morgana at
to be determined.
Different because they posted it for Portuguese times.
Oh, I
So
see. The time zone conversions are always lovely, aren't they?
Yeah.
But that's exciting. Miss Thing is booked and busy. Look at her.
We love it. We love to see it.
We love to see it.
That's on Halloween at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
There you go. Halloween, 4 p.m. Eastern
And
Standard
all
Time.
sorts of other shows on my Twitter at
Love it.
Chlora with a 0 instead of an O. I can't get my URL. But otherwise, you can find me on twitch.tv/.
Yeah, Jam.
You can find me at twitch.tv /jam_5899. And there I play video games. I talk about science. I do my hair. We have a good time. I am that same thing everywhere, Twitter and Instagram. Instagram is nothing about gaming. It's just pictures of me and my food and me walking around the city that I love. So yeah, come hang out, have fun, and I'll teach you all about the intestines of zebrafish.
Yes, get into it.
Learn it.
You can find me at Project Ruby everywhere on Twitter, the Project Ruby on Instagram, twitch.tv/Project Ruby, Project Ruby on YouTube. I play video games, modern, retros. I have a podcast of my own as well called Breakfast at Ruby's, where we talk about non-gaming things, just random pop culture, whatever is relevant to us at that time. I kind of took an unintentional break from it, but hopefully we'll be back. It's basically a show with rotating guests, so as you can imagine, it's not very easy to do that on a weekly basis with rotating guests. We have it pretty easy on here with Just Gaming Tingz. It's a bit more convenient. But yes, check me out on all those things. I'm still raising money for Trans Lifeline alongside Team Rainbow Arcade on Twitch. So by the time, hopefully, I'm just manifesting this. By the time this is out on YouTube and podcast services, we hopefully would have hit our goal of $40,000 for the month. Mind you, we started with a goal of $20,000 and we just basically destroyed it within like days. So we're like, let's keep going, y'all. Let's keep going. The more money, the merrier. For people who don't know, Trans Lifeline is actually the only North American trans-specific hotline that you can call if you're in a time of crisis, if you need someone to talk to. And also they have a micro grants program that they fund people to change their IDs, update their legal names and stuff like that. So it's an incredible cause, and I'm so happy to see the queer community on Twitch kind of coming together and raising a ton of money for that, especially during the LGBTQIA plus History Month. It's amazing stuff. So very proud to be a part of that. And trans rights. On that note,
Absolutely.
Spin, where can people find you? Speaking of trans rights.
Y'all can find me at twitch.tv/benblend. Not necessarily gaming related, but I do have like a huge thing coming up next week. I am launching my soap shop.
Yeah.
That's going to be next Thursday. I just made an Instagram for it. You can find it at Spins Soap Cafe on Instagram. And I previewed all of the first 5 soaps that are going to be part of that launch, and I'm just super excited about it. I'm wanting to make some more soaps on stream in the next couple weeks. So if y'all are interested in like creative things, you can see those there. Also, we are very close to finishing Mario 64. So we'll be finishing Mario 64 soon and getting into Mario Sunshine. And I haven't played much of that game, but I've heard like it's a time and a journey. So
a time and a journey. I love that.
That's what I've got going on.
Yes, a lot of amazing things from everyone. A lot of amazing tings, I should say.
All the tings.
From everyone. So please do follow everybody. All the relevant links for Just Gaming Tingz and for every single one of us are going to be in our description. Alongside Koga Jangles, he couldn't be here today. We forgot to say something at the beginning, so we're not ignoring that at all. We unfortunately, Koga had some internet issues and could not join us today, but we miss you. We hopefully will talk to you next week.
Yes, hopefully.
And stay safe, everybody. You can follow him at Koga_Jangles. He's a great person. He plays a lot of amazing games. He just moved, so I don't think he's been streaming that often. But do follow him because he's a great person and a friend of ours and our 5th member that is currently not available right now. So if you want to support Just Gaming Tingz, support all 5 of us, please and thank you.
Yes.
But yes, we will see you next week for another episode of Just Gaming Tingz. Hopefully in the meantime there's going to be maybe another Crash 4 stream. We'll see. We'll keep you updated. But yeah, stay safe, have fun, have a good week. We love you. Goodbye.
Bye, guys.